Have you ever shared your dream with someone only to feel like it faded away the moment you said it out loud? Have you ever told someone what you were working on, felt a rush of excitement, and then nothing? No action, no progress, just silence. If that sounds familiar, then you've just experienced one of the most powerful psychological traps standing between you and your success. It's not about talent, timing, or even luck. It's about something far more subtle, something that feels good in the moment but steals your momentum in the long run. And it starts with a single innocent act telling people what you do. Here's the truth. Your brain rewards you for the idea of achievement, not just the real thing. When you talk about your goals, your mind gets a little hit of satisfaction, like you've already done the work. That's not just a feeling, it's science. Studies show that when you announce your intentions, your brain tricks itself into thinking you've already completed them. That rush of validation, that nod of approval from someone else, it feels good, but it's a trap, because that feeling steals your drive. It gives you a false sense of progress, and while you're basking in the moment, your dream quietly fades into the background. Think about it. How many times have you told someone about a goal, only to lose interest in it afterward? Maybe it was a business idea, a creative project, or a personal challenge. You said it out loud, you got that positive reaction, and suddenly the fire inside you dimmed. That's not your fault. That's how the human brain works. We're wired to seek validation, to feel seen, to want approval. But here's the problem. When you give your dream away too soon, you give away your power. You don't need permission to become great. You don't need applause to take action. What you need is the courage to keep your vision close, to protect it like a flame in the wind. Because the moment you start talking, you start scattering your focus. You open the door to opinions, doubts, and distractions. You shift your energy from doing to explaining, and the more you explain, the less you actually build. Let me ask you something. What if the most powerful thing you could do for your dream is say absolutely nothing at all? What if silence wasn't a sign of secrecy, but of strength? What if the people who truly make it aren't the ones who talk the most, but the ones who do the most? Think about the people you admire, the ones who changed industries, changed lives, changed the world. Did they spend their time announcing every step? Or did they stay quiet, focused, and relentless? Because here's the secret. Real success doesn't need an audience at the start. It needs action. It needs persistence. It needs you to stop seeking approval and start seeking progress. And when you finally do share your work, when you finally speak up, it won't be just words. It'll be proof. It'll be undeniable. And that's when people won't just listen. They'll stand up and pay attention. So why am I telling you this? Because I want you to succeed. Not just in the way that looks good on social media, but in the way that changes your life, in the way that makes you proud, in the way that leaves a mark. And if you keep watching, I'm going to show you why silence is not just powerful, it's essential. I'm going to break down the psychology, the patterns, and the mindset shifts that will help you stop talking and start building the life you truly want. Because your dream deserves more than words, it deserves action. It deserves your full, undivided energy. And most of all, it deserves the chance to grow in the quiet, where no one can distract it, doubt it, or diminish it. So if you're ready to stop announcing your goals and start achieving them, if you're ready to build something real, something lasting, then keep listening, because what comes next might just change everything. Let's go deeper. Because now that you understand how dangerous it is to talk too soon, it's time to uncover the real reason why silence isn't just smart, it's strategic. It's not about hiding your dreams, it's about protecting them. And to truly grasp why that matters, you need to understand what happens inside your mind the moment you speak those words out loud. When you tell someone what you're working on, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine, the same chemical that rewards you for eating your favorite food or getting a like on a post. It feels good, but here's the catch. Your brain doesn't always distinguish between doing something and imagining doing it. So when you talk about your goals, when you describe your plans with passion and clarity, your mind thinks you've already taken action. You get a sense of completion, of accomplishment, even though nothing has changed. And that's where the danger lies, because that false sense of progress steals your momentum. It tricks you into thinking you've moved forward when in reality, you've just used up energy that should have gone into action. And the more you repeat it, the more you condition your brain to settle for the illusion of achievement instead of the real thing. You start to believe that saying it is the same as doing it. And that belief becomes a habit that keeps you stuck. Think about the last time you told someone about something you wanted to accomplish. Did you feel a rush of excitement? Did you feel like you were already on your way? Now ask yourself, did you follow through? Or did that excitement slowly fade into silence? Because that's how it works. The more you talk, the less you do. And the less you do, the more you talk to cover up the gap. It becomes a cycle. And it's one of the most common reasons people never reach their full potential. But here's the good news. You can break that cycle. You can reclaim your power. You can take back the energy that used to go into explaining, justifying, and impressing. You can channel it into building, growing, and becoming. And it starts with one simple decision: choosing action over announcement, choosing substance over spectacle, choosing silence over empty words. Because here's the truth: real work doesn't need an audience at the beginning. It needs your full attention. It needs your focus, your effort, your discipline. It needs you to show up even when no one is watching, even when no one knows what you're doing. Because that's where true growth happens. In the quiet moments, in the early mornings, in the late nights, in the grind that no one sees but you. That's where the magic is, not in the announcement, not in the applause, not in the validation, in the doing, in the persistence, in the refusal to give up even when nobody believes in you, except yourself. So ask yourself this: are you building something real? Or are you just rehearsing the story of what you're going to build? Because there's a massive difference. One leads to results, the other leads to regret. You have everything you need to start right now. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You don't need anyone's opinion to begin. What you need is the courage to stay quiet, the strength to keep going, and the wisdom to know that your words don't define you, your actions do. And when you finally do speak, when you finally share what you've built, it won't be just talk. It will be proof. It will be undeniable. And that's when people will stop listening and start paying attention. Because success doesn't shout. It shows up. It builds. It delivers. And the people who truly make it don't waste their energy telling the world what they're going to do. They spend it doing it. So from this moment on, let your work speak for itself. Let your silence be your strength. Let your results be your message. Because the world doesn't need more talkers, it needs more doers. And if you're ready to stop explaining and start achieving, then keep listening. Because what comes next will show you exactly how to make it happen. You've already seen how talking too soon can steal your momentum. You've felt the weight of that truth, the realization that every time you speak your dream out loud, you weaken its power. But let's go even deeper, because this isn't just about losing motivation. It's about something far more dangerous: losing your focus. And that is the real cost of sharing too soon. Because when you tell people what you do, you don't just trick your brain into thinking you've achieved it. You open the door to distraction. You invite opinions, doubts, interruptions. You shift your energy from creation to explanation. And once that happens, your focus starts to fracture. It gets pulled in 100 different directions, by what others think, by what they expect, by what they believe is possible. And the more you listen, the less you hear your own voice. That's the hidden danger of validation. It doesn't just give you a false sense of progress, it steals your clarity. It clouds your vision. It makes you question the path you were already walking. And suddenly, instead of building what you truly believe in, you're adjusting, filtering, and second-guessing everything just to fit someone else's idea of success. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you changed your plan because someone didn't understand it? When was the last time you held back because you were afraid of what someone might say? That's the moment you gave your power away. Not because they meant to take it, but because you handed it over. You were never meant to build your dream with someone else's permission. You were meant to build it in silence, to shape it in the dark, to protect it like a secret that only you know the value of. Because when you keep your vision close, you guard it from the noise, from the doubt, from the distractions that pull you off course. That's where real strength comes from, not from being seen, but from being focused. Not from being praised, but from being persistent. Not from being popular, but from being purpose-driven. Think about the people who truly make an impact. The ones who change industries, who build empires, who create legacies. Did they spend their time chasing approval, or did they stay quiet, work hard, and let their results speak for themselves? Because that's the difference between the average and the extraordinary. One talks, the other builds. And you, yes, you have the same potential. You have the same ability to stay silent, to stay focused, and to create something that no one can ignore. But only if you choose to protect your energy. Only if you choose to guard your vision. Only if you choose to stop telling people what you do and start showing them what you can become. Because here's the truth. No one cares how much you know until they see how much you've done. No one remembers the words you spoke. They only remember the work you left behind. And when you look back on your life, you won't be judged by how many people you told about your dream. You'll be judged by how many steps you took to make it real. So ask yourself this: are you building something that lasts, or are you just filling the silence with words that fade? Because if you're serious about your dream, if you're ready to stop explaining and start achieving, then you already know what to do. Close your mouth, open your eyes, sharpen your focus, and get to work. Let your silence be your strategy. Let your effort be your message. Let your results be your proof. Because the world doesn't need more talkers. It needs more builders, more doers, more people who show up, stay quiet, and deliver. And if you're ready to join their ranks, then keep listening, because what comes next will show you how to make it happen. Not with words, not with excuses, but with action. You already know that silence is strength. You've seen how talking too soon can steal your drive, blur your focus, and distract you from what truly matters. But there's something even deeper at play here, something that goes beyond psychology or strategy. It's about identity, about who you are when no one is watching, about what you're willing to protect when the world wants you to perform. Because the truth is, people don't really care about your dream. Not in the way you think they do. They care about their own lives, their own struggles, their own distractions. And when you share your vision with them, you're not just giving away your energy. You're handing over your purpose to people who may never understand it. And worse, you're opening yourself up to something far more dangerous than distraction. You're opening yourself up to doubt. It starts small, a question, a comment, a suggestion, nothing dramatic, but it lands. It sits in your mind. It makes you wonder if you're on the right path, if you're doing it the right way, if you're even capable of making it happen. And suddenly the fire inside you starts to flicker, not because you're not strong enough, not because you're not smart enough, but because you let someone else's opinion take up space in your mind. That's the real cost of validation. Not just the false sense of progress, not just the loss of focus, but the slow erosion of belief in yourself, in your mission, in your right to build something that matters. Because when you constantly seek approval, you start shaping your work around what others expect. You start filtering your ideas, softening your voice, shrinking your vision just to fit into someone else's box. And the more you do it, the more you lose touch with what you truly wanted in the first place. But here's the truth. Your dream was never meant to be shared before it was built. It was meant to be protected, nurtured, fought for. Because the moment you speak it into the world too soon, you expose it to forces that will try to change it, twist it, kill it. That's why the strongest creators, the most relentless builders, the most unstoppable minds, they don't talk. They listen, they learn, they work. They stay silent not because they're hiding, but because they know that silence is the space where true power is born. Because in silence, there is no noise, no interference, no distractions, just you, just your vision, just your purpose. And that's where greatness begins. Because when you stop needing to be seen, you start becoming something worth seeing. When you stop needing to be heard, you start building something worth hearing. When you stop needing approval, you start creating something that cannot be ignored. You don't need their permission to grow. You don't need their praise to move forward. You don't need their belief to make it real. All you need is the courage to stay quiet, the discipline to keep going, and the conviction to protect what matters most. Because in the end, it's not about what you say. It's about what you do. It's not about how many people believe in you. It's about how deeply you believe in yourself. And when you finally step into that truth, when you finally decide that your work is more important than your words, that's when everything changes. That's when you stop explaining. That's when you stop justifying. That's when you stop waiting for permission. That's when you start building, fully, completely, unapologetically, because your dream is not for everyone to understand. It's for you to live. So from this moment on, let your silence be your strength. Let your work be your message. Let your results be your statement to the world. Because when you stop telling people what you do and start showing them what you can become, nothing can stop you. You've already seen how dangerous it is to speak too soon. You've felt the weight of the truth, that every time you tell people what you do, you risk losing your drive, your focus, and even your belief in yourself. But let's take this one step further, because there's something even more powerful hiding beneath all of this. Something that most people never see. It's not just about what you say, it's about what happens inside you when you stop saying it. Because silence doesn't just protect your energy, it builds it. Every word you don't speak becomes fuel. Every moment you spend listening instead of explaining becomes strength. Every time you choose to work instead of talk, you're not just building your dream, you're building yourself. Think about the people you truly admire, not the ones who post every update, not the ones who talk about their goals like they're selling them, but the ones who simply do. The ones who stay quiet, stay focused, and then suddenly appear at the top as if they came out of nowhere. But they didn't come out of nowhere. They came from the grind, from the long nights, from the discipline of staying silent while others shouted. They didn't need the world to know what they were doing. They needed to know, and that was enough. Because here's the truth. When you stop needing other people to see your progress, you start making real progress. When you stop needing others to know your plan, you start executing it. When you stop needing to explain your journey, you start walking it. And that shift, that's not just a strategy, that's a mindset, a powerful one that separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the transformers, the ones who fade from the ones who leave a mark. Because let's be honest, most people never finish what they start. Not because they aren't capable, not because they aren't smart or talented or even lucky, but because they waste their energy on the wrong things. They talk instead of act. They seek approval instead of progress. They chase validation instead of value. And in the end, they have nothing to show but words. But you can be different. You are different. Because you're not here for the applause. You're not here for the likes. You're not here to impress or explain or entertain. You're here to build something that lasts. And that kind of work doesn't need an audience at the beginning. It needs you, fully present, fully committed, fully silent, because silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence is strength. Silence is the space where legends are made. So ask yourself this: what could you accomplish if you stopped telling people what you do? What could you build if you stopped seeking permission? What could you become if you stopped needing approval? Because the answer is simple, more than you ever imagined. Because when you stop wasting energy on words, you free it up for action. When you stop spreading your focus across conversations and explanations, you sharpen it into something unstoppable. When you stop giving your dream away too soon, you keep its power right where it belongs, in your hands. And that's where real growth happens, in the quiet moments, in the early mornings, in the late nights, in the grind that no one sees but you. That's where greatness is built. So from this moment on, let your silence be your strength. Let your work be your message. Let your results be your statement to the world. Because when you finally do speak, when you finally share what you've built, it won't be just talk. It will be proof. It will be undeniable. And that's when people will stop listening and start paying attention. Because the world doesn't need more talkers. It needs more builders, more doers, more people who show up, stay quiet, and deliver. And if you're ready to join their ranks, then keep listening. Because what comes next will show you exactly how to make it happen. Not with words, not with excuses, but with action. You've already seen the power of silence. You've felt the weight of the truth, that every time you speak your goals into the world too soon, you risk losing the very drive that makes them possible. You've understood that talking is not action, that validation is not victory, and that the strongest creators are the ones who build in the quiet, unseen, undisturbed. But now, let's go even deeper, because this isn't just about what you say or don't say, it's about what you protect. It's about guarding your energy like it's the most valuable thing you have, because it is. Every time you waste a piece of it on explanation, on justification, on seeking approval, you give away a part of your power, and once it's gone, you can't get it back. So ask yourself this: what are you protecting right now? What are you fighting for when no one is watching? What are you willing to stay silent for, even when it's hard? Because the truth is, greatness doesn't come from the spotlight. It comes from the shadows, from the moments no one sees, from the work you do when no one is cheering. That's where real strength is built, not in the applause, not in the recognition, not in the likes or the comments or the shares, but in the quiet persistence of someone who knows what they want and refuses to let anything distract them from it. Because here's the thing, most people talk because they want to be seen. They share their goals because they want to be known. They announce their plans because they want to feel important. But the people who truly make it, they don't need to be seen. They don't need to be known. They don't need to be praised. They just need to do the work. And that's the difference. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the transformers, the ones who fade from the ones who leave a legacy. Because when you stop needing to be seen, you start becoming something worth seeing. When you stop needing to be heard, you start building something worth hearing. When you stop needing approval, you start creating something that cannot be ignored. And that kind of work, real work, requires something most people don't have. Not talent, not luck, not even time, but focus, deep, unwavering, relentless focus. Because distraction is the enemy of progress. And the more you speak, the more you spread your energy thin. The more you explain, the more you pull your attention away from what truly matters. The more you seek approval, the more you give away your power to someone else. But you don't need their permission. You don't need their praise. You don't need their belief. You just need your own. Because when you believe in your vision enough to protect it, when you believe in your mission enough to keep it close, when you believe in your purpose enough to build it in silence, that's when it becomes unstoppable. And that's when the world starts to notice. Not because you told them to, not because you begged for attention, not because you shouted the loudest, but because you built something real, something undeniable, something that speaks for itself. Because success doesn't need words, it just needs results. And when you finally stand in that truth, when you finally realize that your silence is not a weakness but a weapon, everything changes. You stop wasting time on explanations. You stop chasing approval. You stop giving your power away. You start building fully, completely, unapologetically, because you understand now that your dream is not for everyone to understand. It's for you to live. So from this moment on, let your silence be your strength. Let your work be your message. Let your results be your statement to the world. Because when you stop telling people what you do and start showing them what you can become, nothing can stop you. You've already seen what happens when you speak too soon. You've felt the weight of the truth that every word you give away is a piece of your energy lost. You've understood that silence isn't just a strategy, it's a shield, a way to protect your dream from the noise, the doubt, and the distractions that pull you away from what truly matters. But let's go even deeper, because this isn't just about what you say or don't say, it's about who you become in the process. Because when you stop telling people what you do, you start building something far more powerful than a plan. You start building discipline. You start building focus. You start building belief. Not in what you say you can do, but in what you actually do. And that kind of belief, that's unshakable. Because most people build their confidence on shaky ground, on words, on promises, on plans that never turn into action. But you're not building on words anymore. You're building on work, on effort, on proof. And that's where real confidence comes from, not from talking about what you'll do, but from doing what you said you would. That's the difference between someone who dreams and someone who achieves. One speaks, the other stays silent and builds. Because here's the truth, no one respects a promise more than a result. No one admires a plan more than a finished product. No one remembers what you said you'd do, they only remember what you actually did. So ask yourself this, what do you want to be remembered for? Do you want to be the person who talked about their dream but never made it real? Or do you want to be the one who stayed quiet, worked hard, and suddenly appeared at the top, undeniable and unstoppable? Because that's the kind of impact that lasts. That's the kind of success that changes lives, not just yours, but the lives of everyone who watches you rise. And here's the beautiful part. The more you protect your energy, the more powerful it becomes. Every time you choose silence over speech, action over announcement, discipline over distraction, you're not just building your dream, you're building yourself into someone worthy of that dream. Because greatness doesn't come from loud voices or big promises. It comes from quiet persistence, from showing up every day, even when no one is watching, from doing the work, even when it's hard, from staying silent, even when it's tempting to speak. That's where strength is forged. In the grind, in the struggle, in the moments no one sees but you, and when you finally emerge, when you finally share what you've built, it won't be just another voice in the noise. It will be a voice that matters, a voice that commands attention, a voice that cannot be ignored, because then, and only then, will your words carry weight. Until then, let your silence be your strategy. Let your work be your message. Let your results be your statement to the world. Because the world doesn't need more talkers. It needs more builders, more doers, more people who show up, stay quiet, and deliver. And if you're ready to become one of them, then keep listening, because what comes next will show you exactly how to make it happen. Not with words, not with excuses, but with action. Because your dream deserves more than talk. It deserves your full, unstoppable effort. And it starts now. You've already seen how powerful silence can be. You've felt the shift in your thinking. The realization that every time you speak your goals into the world too soon, you risk losing the very momentum that makes them possible. You've understood that talking is not doing, that validation is not victory, and that the strongest among us are those who build in the quiet, away from the noise, away from the distractions, away from the need to be seen. But now, let's take this even further, because this isn't just about holding back your words, it's about owning your power. It's about recognizing that every time you choose silence, you're not just protecting your dream, you're strengthening it. You're not just avoiding distraction, you're embracing focus. You're not just withholding words, you're investing in action. And that kind of shift, that's not just a change in behavior, that's a transformation in mindset. Because here's the truth. Most people talk because they want to feel like they're moving forward. They want the rush of approval, the nod of support, the illusion of progress. But you're not chasing illusions. You're not feeding your ego with empty words. You're not wasting your energy trying to convince others of what you're going to do. You're proving it, because real confidence doesn't need an audience. Real strength doesn't need to be seen. Real success doesn't need to be announced. It just needs to be built. And that's where your power lies. Not in what you say, but in what you do. Not in how many people believe in you, but in how deeply you believe in yourself. Not in the applause of today, but in the impact of tomorrow. So ask yourself this: what kind of person do you want to become? Do you want to be the one who talks about their dream for years but never makes it real? Or do you want to be the one who stays quiet, stays focused, and suddenly appears at the top, unstoppable and undeniable? Because the truth is, greatness doesn't come from the spotlight, it comes from the shadows. From the work you do when no one is watching, from the discipline you show when no one is cheering, from the silence you choose when everyone else is speaking. That's where real growth happens, in the quiet moments, in the early mornings, in the late nights, in the grind that no one sees but you. And when you finally do speak, when you finally share what you've built, it won't be just talk. It won't be empty promises or half-finished ideas. It will be proof. It will be undeniable. And that's when people will stop listening and start paying attention. Because the world doesn't respect words. It respects results. So from this moment on, let your silence be your strength. Let your work be your message. Let your results be your statement to the world. Because when you stop telling people what you do and start showing them what you can become, nothing can stop you. You don't need permission. You don't need praise. You don't need anyone's belief but your own. All you need is the courage to stay quiet, the discipline to keep going, and the conviction to protect what matters most. Because in the end, it's not about how many people know your dream. It's about how many steps you took to make it real. And when you look back on your life, you won't be judged by the words you spoke. You'll be judged by the work you left behind. So ask yourself, what legacy do you want to build? One of noise, or one of impact? One of empty promises, or one of undeniable proof? Because you already know the answer. And now it's time to live it. So close your mouth, open your eyes, sharpen your focus, and get to work.